Cyclone MMA. Guys, we are closing in on 2023, and in today's video, I'm going to be listing all the fights that us UFC fans need to see in 2023, because 2022 was great for MMA, and we have high hopes for 2023, so we're going to get into it with our first listing. Ariel Helwani versus Paddy Pimblett. Let's go. Let's settle this beef. No. Okay, we're going to get into the real list now. Conor McGregor, he's coming back in 2023, and who is he going to fight? None other than Michael Chandler. I just did a video on this, so go watch if you want more elaboration. But doesn't this just make sense? Two action fighters, two guys who have a lot of power. This is a guaranteed knockout. I don't think they're going to wrestle. Michael Chandler could wrestle. Like, he's got that in his bag. It's a fight that Conor could win. It's also a fight that Michael Chandler could win. It's just exciting. People are going to watch this. People are going to tune in. They either love these guys or they hate these guys. Just put this as a main event. You don't need a title. You're good. You know, Conor McGregor doesn't deserve to come back and fight for the title. I know the UFC, like always, is just pushing for that, but no. You lost twice to Poirier. Michael Chandler just happens to have a loss to Poirier recently. Put this fight together. The fans are going to love it. I'm watching it. Everyone's tuning in. Everyone's happy. Another fighter making their return in 2023 is John Bones Jones, and he is going to fight Francis Ngannou, I hope. I know Francis might just completely leave the UFC, but I hope he gets, like, you know, a new contract and is able to fight, because I really want to see John Jones versus Francis Ngannou. John Jones, he's getting older, but he's still, you know, one of the GOATs of the sport, if not the GOAT of the sport. I know there's the PEDs and the extracurriculars that goes on with his career, but John Jones is legit. He's super talented, and I want to see him fight the elite of heavyweight. Now, if he doesn't fight Francis Ngannou, if Francis Ngannou never fights in the UFC again, then I want to see Stipe or Cyril Gane or Curtis Blades or one of these upper echelon heavyweight fighters. But I think the 2023 year could be a really good one for the heavyweight division, and I'm excited to see where it goes with all these new guys like Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades. Jairzinho just got a win recently. He's looking really good. So I'm curious, but I want to see John Jones versus Francis Ngannou really, really bad. All right. Next, we need to see Adesanya versus Pereira for a third time. Not for a third time, for a fourth time. So we need the rematch. 2 times in MMA, 2 times in kickboxing, right? Adesanya was so close to a victory. He was like 2 minutes away, and he gets caught. He gets finished. A little bit of controversy with the stoppage. Some argue it's an early stoppage. Regardless, Pereira put him in that position, and he was putting it on Adesanya in that fight. I want to see this one again. I think Adesanya is like, he was one of the greatest reigning champions of recent history, and I want to see him get that one back. So that's what I'm thinking. Next is Jiri Prohaska versus Glover Teixeira 2. Now, I'm hoping that Jiri Prohaska can come back in 2023. I know he has a crazy shoulder injury that he's recovering from now. Their first fight for the title was insane. It was a banger, and it was one that Jiri was losing until he wasn't, and he got a comeback victory. He got a submission to give him the belt and make him champion. Now he's no longer champion, and we had Ankalaev fight Blachowicz for the title, which ended in a draw. Now we have Jamal Hill fighting Glover Teixeira for the title now. The light heavyweight division is a complete mess, so I want to see Glover Teixeira win that fight against Jamal Hill. Then I want to see a rematch between Jiri Prohaska and Glover Teixeira, because I want banger number 2, the rematch. What else we got here? Okay, Paddy Pimblett. No, maybe he shouldn't fight Ariel Helwani, but he should fight Ilia Topuria, because Ilia is a weight class down. I'm not really interested. Don't get me wrong. I'm interested in seeing Paddy fight a top 15 opponent in the lightweight division. But why I say I might not be interested is because I think they destroy him. I think the lightweight division is a deep division. I think they're really good, and I think they eat him up. Now, I'm not saying that Ilia eats him up and defeats him, but giving, you know, Paddy a little bit of the advantage when it comes to the weight, maybe either do it at a catch weight or have Ilia come up to lightweight to fight Paddy. I think Ilia would take that fight. I think Paddy might take that fight. I want to see that. The beef is real between these two. I think Ilia is really, really freaking good. Paddy talks a lot of shit. He has a lot of fans. He has a lot of hype. Let's see it. Let's see them settle the beef. Let's see Ilia Topuria versus Patty Pimblett. All right, here's one. Valentina Shevchenko, arguably the greatest fighter of all time. Arguably the greatest female fighter of all time, I'd say. Really, I think most people say Amanda Nunes, but Valentina's up there. I think she should fight Weili Zhang. I think Weili Zhang, you look at her last two fights, Esparza, that was a fun fight, and she looked really, really good. She got the finish in the second round. If not the second, then it was the third. Great fighter, but the fight that really you can zoom in on and look at is her fight against Joanna, the second one. Weili went right after Joanna. She got the TKO finish, and she looked spectacular. I think Weili looked better against Joanna than Valentina Shevchenko did, and so I want to see, champion versus champion. Valentina, arguably the best female fighter of all time, versus Zhang Weili, who is really, really freaking good and has a lot of hype behind her and seems to be even better than we thought she was. All right. Sean O'Malley had a controversial last fight, right? I had him losing that fight. A lot of people did, but it was a close fight, and he looked really, really good. He proved that he was elite in the bantamweight division, and I want to see him fight whoever the champion is. I don't know if it's going to be Aljamain Sterling. I don't know if it's going to be Henry Cejudo, but whoever it is, just put Sean O'Malley in there because I'm interested, okay? That's an interesting storyline. Does he deserve it? Who knows? I like Sean O'Malley. And when you're kind of gifted a victory that you may not have 100%, deserved, you got to take that hype and use it. It'd be dumb of him to be like, I don't deserve this title shot. No, you're a star. You won against the number one in the division, Petr Yan. Fight for the title now because it's going to sell pay-per-views. It's going to be fun. And honestly, it's a fight he can win. He absolutely can be either of those guys on the feet. I think he's a better striker than Henry Cejudo. I think he's a better striker than Aljamain Sterling. Now on the ground, that's a different story. I think they're both better than Sean O'Malley, but every round starts on the feet, and I don't think Sean O'Malley's a schmuck when it comes to the ground. Now, I was one of those haters that was like, oh, Petr Yan's going to smash O'Malley, and I wouldn't really say O'Malley's the favorite against either of the two opponents I talked about, but let's be honest, that's fun. There's a lot of hype going into that fight. Make it happen. Fuck it, dude. It's 2023. Make fun fights, even if they don't make 100% sense. All right, we got two more here. Khamzat Chimaev. Initially, when I was writing this list, I wanted Khamzat versus Pereira, but they're both just two wild cards that could go either way. Either, Khamzat gets the control and just dominates him, or Khamzat gets into a brawl and gets knocked out by Pereira, because Pereira's left hand is scary. But that's not even what we're going with here. We're going with Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman. I consider Kamaru Usman to be the number one welterweight on this planet still. I know he lost to Leon Edwards. I think he's going to get that one back. Even if he doesn't, even if Leon Edwards fights a different opponent, a Covington or a Bilal, someone else in the welterweight division, I want to see Khamzat versus Usman because I want to know who's the best guy at that weight class. I'm interested because Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev was a fun-ass fight, and I think Kamaru Usman is the gold standard of the welterweight division, and I want to see how he does against someone, an athletic beast like Khamzat Chimaev. All right, to end off this list is Kai Kara France versus Davison Figueiredo. I like Kai Kara France a lot. I like Davison Figueiredo a lot. That flyweight division is really, really fun, but it's very top-heavy, right? That top 5, top 6, top 7 of that division, they all are just fighting each other over and over and over. And like Kai Kara France, he's fought Brandon Moreno. Davison Figueiredo's fought him fucking 3 times already. I think do this one again. Excuse me. Kai Kara France has never fought Davison Figueiredo. They're the two odd ones out that haven't fought each other there. Everyone else seems to have fought each other, and they're both action fighters. They're both super, super fun. If you put Davison Figueiredo versus Kai Kara France, it's going to be a banger. So for that reason, I want to see Kai Kara France versus Davison Figueiredo. It's a little bit of a weird one, but you can't do, 3 more Davison Figueiredos versus Brandon Morenos in 2023 because although that would be fun, we want to see something a little different. That's something we haven't seen before. So Kai Kara France versus Davison Figueiredo. Make it happen. Those are 9 fights. 10 if you include the Ariel Helwani versus Patty Pimblett fight. So, the ball's in your court, Dana. Make it happen.